Hello everyone. Good afternoon from sunny Berlin and welcome to the 9th edition of the Lufthansa Systems online conference series, Let's Talk About IT. I'm your host, James Liu. We would also like to extend a very warm welcome to everyone who's watching the recording of this webinar at home. So today we continue our discussion on aircraft maintenance, MRO and CAMO, and how M&E systems can support productivity. As usual, before we begin, please note that this Skype call is being recorded and will be available on our website after the session. Your microphones are muted by default, however, you are invited to post your questions during our session in the chat window. The chat window will not be part of the recording. If questions remain open due to time restrictions, you are welcome to get in touch with us directly. Our experts will be happy to continue the discussion with you. Joining me on the panel today, we have Alex Schipperlin, our Senior Consultant for CAMO and MRO topics here at Lufthansa Systems. Alex is an aircraft maintenance engineer with almost 20 years of airline maintenance experience. Prior to joining Lufthansa Systems in 2017, Alex held various roles at Transero Airlines in the engineering and material supplies departments. He is experienced in MRO and CAMO transformation projects across different parts of the world. Hello, Alex.
Hi, James. Hi, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here today talking about this very significant topic and with a good team with me.
Our next speaker is Julia Method, Head of Consulting Services, Project and Digital Solutions, joining us today from Swiss Aviation Software. Julian leads the Swiss AS consulting team, focusing on new implementation projects, as well as assisting existing customers with optimizing business adoption. He is a strong advocate for digital tech ops and has over 18 years of experience in MRO and engineering as an aircraft engineer himself. Prior to joining Swiss AS, he led various engineering and AMOS projects at Air Canada and Air Transat. Hello and welcome to our online conference, Julian.
Hi, everyone. Hi, James. Hi, Alex. Also, like Alex, it's a pleasure to welcome you and to be here with you today.
And a little bit about myself. I am a management consultant here at Lufthansa Systems. I have 15 years of experience in the revenue management, network planning, and scheduling areas in airlines such as Qatar Airways, Virgin Australia, and Qantas before joining Lufthansa Systems here in Germany early last year. So today we will start by looking at the situation and perhaps some issues with MRO and CAMO in the airlines that are facing. This then will be followed by then we will explore the key value drivers of an M&E system adoption using AMOS as an example. And then we'll continue to look at how change management can assist the M&E system adoption before we open the floor up to some questions and answers from the audience. So before we start, Julian, would you like to give us a quick overview of Swiss Aviation Software and AMOS and how it is linked to the Lufthansa Group?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the great intro, James. Before I start, thank you very much for Alex for the invitation to have a partner company within the Lufthansa Group also take part of this webinar. So I work for Swiss Aviation Software, the makers of AMOS. We are based here in Basel. We are a subsidiary of Swiss Airlines, which itself is in the Lufthansa Group. So just like Lufthansa Systems, we Swiss Airlines are also part of the Lufthansa Group. We have some main outstations located in Miami as well as in Singapore to cover our global customer market. I thought it would be a good timing as well to say a few words about the crisis from the Swiss AS point of view. The two key words or messages to our customers are stability and continuity. What I mentioned here is that the product AMOS continues to be fully invested in. All of the staff working on the AMOS product, whether it's from the business developers or the business analysts, have continued to work full time during this time. Of course, for us in the services area, there has been an impact and reduced demand during the first wave. But optimistically, there is a bit of a positive outlook. We have restarted or continued at least 90% of all of our running AMOS projects. And the AOS, which is outsourced services, and our hosting solutions have also increased a lot in demand over the last period. So that was just a short intro to give a bit of a recap of our point of view. And I think we're ready to start now, James, with today's topic.
Thank you, Julian. Great to hear that Swiss ANs and MROs are doing very well in this difficult time for the industry. So Alex, what can you tell us about the current situation at MRO CAMO areas of airlines? What's been happening?
Yeah, James, thank you very much. And thank you, Julian, for the presentation. That's again my pleasure to be together with you as a co-host. The current situation in the MRO, I don't want to talk about the crisis. Everybody knows it's already in all news, all about that.
Yes.
What I experienced during all different involvement in the different projects of CAMO and MRO transformation, right? Because of the nice years before that Corona crisis, we was so actively growing, almost all airlines are actively growing. We never had a chance to look at our processes in a very details. And what we have now, we do have a low adoption of systems which we are using. In some airlines, we have a two parallel system based on different fleets, like a legacy fleet or a current fleet, a new generation, old generation. In others, we are experiencing the same, but even in my eyes, it's a worse situation when we have a split in the business areas, like maintenance is doing it in one system. For example, supply chain is utilizing their own system, they are not connected. And we are, after that, we are experiencing a lot of different bits and pieces, not integrated one system in a general. And even if, you cannot believe me, that that's absolutely true, even if we have a one system, nice and beautiful, it's very often that we are not utilizing the old functionality. We're creating additional Excels flying here and there because here in aviation really like to reporting, and that was everything okay. Until this crisis came. Now we really need to look at our processes in a light of productivity. Are we productive or not? And how we can improve that productivity by adoption. For that, I think we have a good panel here today to discuss productivity increment out of the systems.
Yeah. So how would an M&E system help to increase the productivity as our main theme today? Julian?
Yep. So when I hear about adoption, productivity, that's clearly music to my ears, because that is actually core business and my day-to-day passion about AMOS and digital processes. We talk about productivity. To me, this means high, maximizing, optimizing M&E system adoption. As I've shown here on the screen now, a few years ago, myself and my team, we have also observed from post-implementation projects that the continuous adoption framework, which is necessary to maximize the customer's total cost of ownership of any M&E system. So we put in place a framework, which you can see here, about our continuous AMOS adoption, which includes sporadic knowledge transfers, newly released features, business case implementation as well for the newly designed software features of AMOS. We were able also to come up with an auditing review system where we could assess and benchmark different customers and tell them where they stood within the AMOS adoption assessment balance. This allowed us also to create for them and with them an initiatives plan with prioritized action list, how to improve certain areas to reach the next level of AMOS adoption. We've also recently introduced a data-driven metrics in terms of measuring process efficiencies using data points of processes within the application itself. But this whole framework, we still do it and customers are still asking us in demand. But today's session with Alex, we want to focus on what I've highlighted here as high value, low effort initiatives, prices, lower amounts of investment capability, low amounts of resources and time to spend on this. So Alex and I have looked at and identified based on the process landscape, which areas make the most sense to right now look at. Okay. One of the challenges of this assessment is, as you see in the big process landscape of an M&E system, it is very wide. It goes from organizational and commercial topics, processes, staff qualifications, qualifications management, the whole camo engineering, the planning, and so on and so forth, covering all of these areas. So we at Amos and TWCS, we cover here, I've noted 12 business areas and more than 90 business processes and activities, which are tracked by the software Amos itself. So in red, myself and Alex have identified the areas which we will walk you through over the next slides in terms of where is there a potential large gap between your current system adoption in terms of processes, as Alex mentioned, Excel files or workarounds that are around the area, and what we know, both himself and myself and in the community, how much potential there is in Amos or another M&E system to maximize the usage of these systems. Okay. What would be very interesting, James, is we've prepared a short poll. We have also some very much industry experts online to help us also benchmark in which area they themselves see where is there also potential added value in the tech ops world. Okay, so the question is, in which tech ops business area do you personally see the highest value drivers which has potential to lower cost and to maximize efficiency? Okay, so there's only 4 choices. They're quite high brand. We have camo and engineering. We have a planning work stream, supply chain inventory, and of course, aircraft maintenance, either line or base. So it would be interesting now to see the results of these polls.
Yeah, so I'll just give everyone maybe 30 seconds. Just if you're not in front of your laptop, just have a look at your screen. There should be the option for you to choose where you think the highest value drivers with potential to lower cost and maximize efficiency. So give another few seconds for people to choose. Is it CAMO and engineering? Is it planning, mid and long-term planning? Is it supply chain and inventory management? Or is it aircraft maintenance, execution, both line and base? Okay, the results are quite close. I think most people are choosing the CAMO and engineering and also the planning for mid and long-term planning as the areas where people see the most opportunities are, I think. What do you say to that, Julian?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. CAMO and engineering is the core definition of the processes. Everything will come out of the downstream processes from CAMO and engineering. So the better that you manage your CAMO organization, sort of maintenance programs, SBs and AD mods, management, implementations will be rolling down. So the more efficient these core processes are, the higher the chance that these efficient processes will flow down also the process chain. Planning, of course, is also a big main topic now with many aircraft parked, grounded, stored. Speaking to some other industry experts in my network, they already have in plan scenarios for the ramp up, for the recovery phase, which aircraft should be returned to service, in which order, how long it takes. So they have a very strong planning process in place to maximize whatever recovery profile their airline will take afterwards. Okay. So thank you very much for everyone which answered these poll questions. So now myself and Alex, we will walk you through our selected valued areas, and the first one will be engineering. So I will walk you through them, and I will ask then Alex for his insights as well, because both he and I work often together. We are good collaborators, and both of us have added value to bring to this discussion today. Okay, so the first topic, engineering. So there's 3 main pillars to focus on. It's maintenance programs, SB mods, implication, and configuration control. So in the maintenance program process in itself, from MPD to task card initialization is the wording we use in Amos. There's a maintenance program revision process, which is regularly happening. My observations from the field are often that people are not yet utilizing the available tools and data files which are provided by OEMs. There are many which are still using Excel files and PDF reports and reprints to do MPD revision, integration into the approved maintenance operator program. Of course, in AMOS, we have different variants. We have single operator mode, we have multi-AOC, multi-operator mode as well. And one very high value element is being able to import the MPD files, which are provided by the major OEMs, such as the Boeing Toolbox XML files or the Airbus TSDF files. So this really drastically reduces the data entry time. What about you, Alex? Did you want to also share some comments and experiences from your maintenance program framework that you've observed at customers?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Julian. And I've been working also as a maintenance program engineer for quite a long time in Transera. And taking that experience and actually the newer experience which I see around the world when I'm visiting the different airlines, I would like to take us one step deeper. Talking about the maintenance program, not only from a CAMO perspective, how to utilize AMOS or any other software to produce the book, but also how that information is after that processed in planning and production. And what I can see that very often our airlines are not utilizing full set of tools like resource requested on a maintenance program task card, manpower resources. And here we usually have a conflict of interest in between the, let me say, CAMO and 145 part, everybody trying to keep those resource definitions separately, and that's breaking our productivity. Because technically we again have a maintenance program and somewhere Excel where we calculating our resources in a real life. That's a problem.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And also the use of the system for predicting non-routines, finding ratios, that also really helps into the planning elements of HX and C-check ground times as well. So that's also something I've noticed is outside of the system in some Excel files or some other systems as well. Very good. Also, what our observations are, it can be sometimes tricky when you're dealing with large airlines and CAMO organizations to standardize the SB management process. So it's important to have a very clear and standardized SB implementation decision matrix. You do not need any more paper forms and regular desk meetings. Automation of recurrent work, which you can reduce the human manual labor, and as well mobility and having higher productive usage of time to search documents, query documents by using such mobility tools such as AMOS Mobile of AMOS. Okay, so now we've covered engineering, planning, line maintenance, and of course we need some parts, we need some supply chain to be discussed. In the supply and stores topic, here I put some graphs on the screen. As you can see, AMOS is very well known for its centralized part request handling tool. So in AMOS, you can forecast specific part requests for each maintenance event. You can see exactly how many parts you will need over all your stations per work package. But what I have observed, Alex, and I will ask you for your opinion afterwards, is sometimes I'm a bit surprised that this very intensely useful feature is a bit underutilized by planning departments, by procurement managers. And one observation I made myself is in terms of not only the filter settings, but there could be some cases where the data which is being shown here become obsolete, or that people lose a bit of confidence in the data that they see for ordering, and so they do not want to be able to continue using the centralized parts procurement forecast of AMOS. Do you have any comments you would like to add about this topic?
Yes, Julian, thank you very much. Totally agree with you. First, the losing of the confidence of the data, what we see on the screen, lead us to not trust in a system and not to utilize it. However, here in particular, for the maintenance forecast, what I personally observe, that where people need to have a cultural change of thinking, because it's not just the ordering tool, but actually we're forecasting to thinking upfront and somehow batch to collect our orders, not just raising the one order to one line, but somehow predict what will be a demand and how most efficient and most productive I need to bring those components, tools, chemicals, wherever, to my company. And that requires additional education and understanding not only of a function, but changing in the thinking.
Yeah, fully agree. I remember some adoption review audits I've myself performed over the last few years, and some companies still required a mandated printout signed forms for approving purchase orders. Now, it is important to know that in AMOS, the philosophy is not anymore to have any physical approvals. Everything can be done in the system called approval control. Of course, we have all of the procurement limits to be purchased and who to trigger the requests to be approved for. So you are correct that you need to trust the system. It is based on real data with real maintenance forecast. AMOS also contains the lead times, the preferred suppliers, alternative part numbers. So there's a very big, if you're not today using what I would call AMOS PCF to its full extent, you do need to invest some time to review why it may not be the case, because it does make it is a game changer for the procurement process.
Absolutely agree with you.
Yep. In other areas here, which I've shown here as some small images, print screens, AMOS has advanced reorder proposal. This is for C&E materials, chemicals, anything you would use on a day-to-day basis, which can also forecast different forecast methods based on historical consumptions. So it will not only be periodic reordering, but it will be based also on real base checks from long-term planning to historical consumption per station. Also, this helps to reduce and optimize your inventory costs by not having overstocked material. And here what you can see is some of the reports I wanted to highlight is the cost collection of M&E systems is very, very deep, because this is where you track booked working time, cost per skill. This is where you booked all of your orders. Your accruals of open orders are in AMOS. Also, your consumption of material is booked in the system as well. We also do, of course, invoice checking. We also have automated some of this one-to-one three-way match systems in AMOS. One of the biggest advantages now to unlock some added value is to use AMOS to budget control, cost forecast your maintenance plan over the next period. So you can also have a very good understanding from an accounting and financial point of view, which would be your expected costs over the next period. So again, I will just repeat myself. If you are not AMOS customers currently today benefiting from using the AMOS finance modules in terms of the GL, general ledger bookings, cost center bookings, then please let us know, contact us. But I do believe that there's added value for your organization to be more transparent by looking at the AMOS costs that are in the system. All right, James, I think one more topic I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
So the previous ones were focused on features and product business processes, but also when I talk about productivity, one important aspect, because we are talking about IT, is data and integration. So here at AMOS by SOCIES, we have, let's say, modeled an AMOS-centered digital ecosystem And in this ecosystem, we have what you see here on the left-hand side, some of the main players in the industry in terms of data analytics, e-archiving solutions, also some supply chain pool providers and part brokers, ETL, tech logs as well. So AMOS is capable to, in more of a center integration aspect, using all of the ATA specs, using design integration mechanisms to be part of your core system for integration within the ecosystem, which is your M&E ecosystem. One important point is in terms of IT, the in-house IT skill sets in terms of AMOS administrations, and I think we'll touch about it also towards the end of Alex's topic, the strength of your internal AMOS administrators will help you eliminate and identify potential Excel files, manual reports as well, because you can do all of this using the AMOS data already. Okay, so my part of today's session was focusing on the product and what a system could offer. And James, I would like to hand it back to you and to Alex to help us tell our customers how this could have an impact into your organization.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you very much for the very detailed outline of the M&E system using AMOS as an example. Alex, it's over to you now with how the what is being decided, and can you tell us a little bit about the how to do it?
Yeah, thank you very much, Julian. Thank you very much, James. I think everybody understood that we have such a great opportunities, such a great tools inside the system like AMOS, or actually any other systems, but still the question why we are not utilizing that. And the key for that is actually of how we implementing that and how we increasing our adoption, how we utilize. What organization can do is first of all to analyze what are the key areas of attention, but can be right now to change. I often see that some areas of the business processes in CAMO and MRO world are very well defined, very nice, and very productive, but some areas are just forgotten. So to do that, we can quantify the change and select those areas which are bringing more business benefits with a less value of change. It's a not very difficult task, I would say, by doing the proper discussions and interviewing and understand, are we really performing as it in our documents and the books, or are we doing something separately? And it's an eye-opener for the management also, very, very often. As soon as we identify the focus areas, we can go exactly to the implementing of a change by using the, again, different models. And here I can give you some like Lufthansa Systems know-how, the FFF matrix, decision making, the fit, feasible, and future matrix, which from my experience working very well. When we're trying to define something, to define the way how we want to improve, we always need to understand if the decision which we are making right now, or a set of decisions, are actually fitting into the current picture, and we are achieving what exactly we want. Because during all those transformation, it's very often that the different stakeholders have a different opinion, or even following the different benefits which we personally want to achieve, but not the exact answer in a question what we want to do. Feasibility. This is very important right now, how feasible that solution, how much effort we need to bring to get to that solution, and are looking for a future. And fortunately, or fortunately, we are living in a very dynamic world also in aviation, and we always need to think if our solution will sustain, for how long, and how we will change it if it's needed. So if, for example, I will give a silly example, if you're printing 1,000 of some paper documents, and after that it will be difficult to change them until we all utilize that. So maybe at that point of time we need to think about moving from some pre-printed hard copies to something generated in a system, which will be much more easier to change. And a very important topic here when we are talking about the change of a change in our processes, implementation this or that feature of a nice software, we should always have three questions in our mind. Why we are doing that? It should be a clear answer. What is our goal? Who is doing that? And when we are doing that? I saw a lot of brilliantly defined business processes with utilizing these or that features leading us to nowhere. We have a process here, somebody is doing brilliantly, nicely, perfect to the 100%, but the result is not utilized at the other end. Nobody is keen to have that result, nobody interesting. And all that can be achieved through the good communication, cross-functional discussions, and understanding if we are doing something here, by this time, by this person, that it will bring additional value to the next person. That's the main, most important for my side.
It sounds quite simple, right, to ask these questions, but from your experience, it's probably not as easy to implement than to say it, right? Like why, who, and when.
Yeah, exactly. That's no rocket science here. It's just a communication with the people and understanding the needs. But very, very often, if we are asking why we are doing that, the answer, probably you know from also your experience in a different area of aviation, but I think it's everywhere, because we're already doing that for 10 years.
Yeah, we've always done it.
Very good answer. So, which is not answering why. Yeah. So, and as soon as we are combine it all together, we understand what we want, how to achieve it, and then we actually need to go to the next phase in our implementation of a change. It's to refreeze it. And here in the CAMO and MRO world, we actually very well structured with all requirements from our authorities. We need to have a CAMI and MIE documents, we need to have a business processes, and we need to have a work instructions, everything in place. But the core, I really like to call it AMAS police, but it could be the police of any other M&D software. That core element should always be presented in an organizational structure to catch every single change in a way how people actually perform in their work. If it's not aligned with the business process, we should not allow the different individuals do it differently. After that, we will receive a completely mess and we will not understand from where the problems are coming. But I'm not saying that we need to stick to once defined processes. This AMAS police function is much more wider. We need to relook at the processes. If people starting to deviate, maybe they are right, maybe they are doing the good things which was not defined, maybe environment is changed, but we need to streamline all those changes and look at that changes repeatedly. And I know SWISS also did some, let me say, kind of investigation. So Julian, maybe you could comment on that. What size of that group are supposed to be in the different airlines?
Yeah, that's a good point. I will just first highlight, I really like your wording, AMAS Police. I think it's a very nice email signature or a badge for a sheriff badge about AMAS Police, excuse me. Usually you tend to call it AMAS Competence Center or Center of AMAS Excellence, but AMAS Police is more enforceful. Good use of the word. Yeah. The customers which are implementing AMAS for the first time, when they have not yet had an AMAS Police or AMAS Competence Center framework in place, they always ask us for roles, definitions, which in the organizational chart, where should this be positioned? How many headcounts should we assign to this position? And the answer is always It depends on the role which will be given to these staff. The typical main aspects in terms of AMOS Competence Center job description also includes the change management topics which Alex has mentioned, but also first level IT support, first level support for end users. There's also an AMOS operational management system which has to manage the interface, the logs, the AMOS administration itself. And also the release upgrades. AMOS, we deliver a new version of the system every 6 months, and during the life cycle of an AMOS software version, you do need to upgrade the environment, and this needs to coordinate new features, testing, and rollout to the live production environment. For small organizations, there's always at least one person which is full-time assigned to this role, but I also have seen for our larger customers, groups of 6 to 8, even one larger organization has shift work, up to 12 people working only on this initiative. And just one quick comment, our leading edge AMOS customers, the ones which are very impressively using high levels of adoption, have all one thing in common, and it is a very strong AMOS Competence Center or an AMOS police group. So this is one of the #1 success factors of M&E system adoption, is having this red triangle very well staffed and well covered in an organization.
Thank you very much, Julian, for confirmation. I very like that we are aligned on that. And just the closing of my parts, because we already need to go to our Q&A session. As soon as we define everything, we need to keep an sustainability of a system, and for that, the AMOS Competence Center, or as I like it, AMOS Police, or M&E System Police, is actually playing a key role. And in my opinion, and my understanding, this sustainability role should be kept inside of business department, of a technical department, with an attachment of IT where is needed, or with an involving small IT, but depends of a business organization. But it's really need to talk the business language to business, not an IT-ish language to business, which will not give us any benefits. And just to close this part of a session, we are living in a very dynamic world, and doing this assessment once will let us to work some period of time until some external things are not changed. So the AMOS Competence Center, AMOS Police, should periodically relook at the change if it's needed by business and understand the business very well. So, James, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to express myself. So
definitely very, very interesting content that both you and Julian have presented. I'm just also looking at the time as well. Let's quickly move on to the Q&A session of our conference. Let me quickly have a look at the conversation box. So, all right. So the first question is coming from Avion Expri in Lithuania. The question is, how do you control findings related to corrosion levels 1, 2, and 3 in your system? Is it done automatically or manually by technical records person? Julian, maybe this one goes to you.
Yeah, this is a AMOS demo type of question. So yes, AMOS has an inbuilt feature in the structural damage and reporting framework. This is a type of damage which is reported and tracked as corrosion levels, and this is tracked further downstream in the engineering for engineering assessment and so on and so forth. So yes, someone has to tell the system that it is a corrosion level, but then afterwards there are flows which will have impacts on the process afterwards.
To come through from another channel, it says, what are the top reasons why airlines experience low levels of adoption of M&E systems? Julian, maybe this one goes to you.
This could be a very long answer, but I think we've covered most of it during this session. It has to do with the static element of not continuously progressing after, we call it an AMOS go live, after you have implemented a new M&E system, to not continue the effort and investment to continuously adopt, to continuously review processes. Of course, after a major transformation, there should be kind of a calmer period to let's stabilize the systems, identify different initiatives, but it is important to continuously review software, M&E system, process advantages, to ask yourself again why, as Alex mentioned. So I would tend to talk about the static element of not identifying or investing in the discovering of the need to change. It's all part also of this agile framework and how organizations should now be scaled directly.
Okay. There's an interesting one here, actually. I just saw this. What should be the fleet size of an airline be to start to receive the economic advantages of using an M&E system?
Julian, I would say that we have customers, fleet sizes of all sizes. We have some very, very large European airlines which use AMOS. We also have some very, very small airlines which have less than 5 aircraft which are operating the system.
Oh, wow, okay.
You must always consider that having a properly maintained M&E system is part of the airworthiness requirements of maintaining aircraft. It always depends on how much you want to invest in the scope of the system, but you must have a CAMO management M&E system. So yes, any fleet size is required to benefit from the advantages of having an AMOS or an M&E system.
Yeah, if I can add here a few words. Actually, I think I understand from where this question is going to. So technically, I was in that situation when I was working in an airline. If you do have, for example, 2 aircraft, no questions. You can use an Excel and everybody will be happy. But looking again into the perspective, if you want to grow somehow out of 2 aircraft to 5 aircraft, from 5 to 10, for example, it's much better to implement something right now. When you have a 2, it will be less effort, it will be much better business processes. When you have a 50 aircraft and you need to migrate everything, your legacy data, you need to redesign the business processes which will affect not 10 guys, but already hundreds. And when you're thinking not about the benefit, but about the growth path, I strongly recommend to start this process as soon as possible.
Sounds very compelling. I think we have probably time for one more question. Someone has typed in here, is there an option to use the AMOS budget management for total life cycle? For example, all schedule replacement events, task card throughout the life cycle of an aircraft? Julian?
Another good AMOS question. I did show that there are very multitudes of AMOS financial reports for cost collection. This specific topic, I don't have top of my head which report I would refer to, but AMOS would contain in its system the forecasted engine removals, the forecasted cost of engine shop visits. So I cannot answer the question out in detail, but there would be the data inside the system. But if it's an AMOS customer, then this question can also be handled via our customer care process.
Sure. No, that's very good. Actually, let's take one more. Here, let me just read this. Okay, here's a good one for the current situation that we're in. So I understand that your preferred methodology to assess adoption levels was with on-site visits. How can you do that now with COVID? Is this done remotely already, or Julian?
Yeah, I think Alex and I will both share a short answer. I also used to travel a lot. In the last 6-7 months, I've been, my family and my wife are happy that I'm much more often at home, but I do miss these AMOS adoptions and these visit trips, as most of us on the call now. As Alex mentioned, the best way to identify and trigger questioning is by walking around the hangar, going in the offices with, of course, the customers themselves, talking to people, asking why are you doing this action step, what is the output. But what we have converted over the last few months is, yes, we have moved often a lot of these discussions to remote. We will interview remotely. We have an audit checklist, which we will do digitally now with online forms. We use also data metrics to assess processes by connecting from Basel to the customer AMOS environments, and we have also some KPIs we review here. But yes, we continue to do it, and also customers now are asking us to do these sessions also remotely during this new normal, as I would call it.
Yeah.
How about you, Alex? What are your experiences?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's always nice to be in a hangar with the guys to really look at how the things are done, because from time to time, what is written in the work instructions and in business process documents, it's not very true, where actual actions are a bit different, and I personally miss that. So we also in LSY have an experience already running through a different workshops remotely, which is making kind of bringing some additional difficulties. And what I would like to add, that really depends of how organization can be opened. If we will not always open all cards or try to hide something, the remote session will allow them to do that.
Yeah.
But if organization really want to change, then it's definitely possible to have it remotely.
Yep. And I think the advantage, such as yourselves and myself and my team, we are here to support and help and guide. We never judge inefficient processes or question why they do something. Our role, your role as well, Alex, is to help our customers, airlines and MROs, strive by using the best way that they can their ME system.
Yeah, exactly. We are not chargers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think there was quite a few questions from the audience about the functionalities of AMOS. I think you have a slide here, Julian, about where people can find out more about.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to quickly highlight to all of the AMOS police, which are online, or the AMOS Competence Center staff, that our customer portal contains very high levels and much documentation, which you can freely review online, download for your own organizational use, including AMOS adoption seminars we performed since the last 2 years. I think we did at least 12 or 16 seminars. Also, all of our business process flows are downloadable on our portal, and all of the AMOS changes, the change tracker descriptions, how do these features work, from again a process-based point of view, is also visible and downloadable from our customer portal. Mm-hmm. And also, the AMOS community is very open and, as you can tell from this relationship, quite open to share and benchmark with each other. So customers do call each other and ask, how do you do this? What is your experience with this new feature or this experiment? So also the community is quite strong help.
All right, very good. Very good resource for everyone. I'm sorry we have to quickly end the Q&A session here, but as I mentioned before, please get in touch with our experts, Alex and Julian, also myself, if you would like to have a chat. We are more than happy to continue the discussion with you, or if you have any more comments and questions about the contents today. I'd like to also point out to everyone in the call today that at Lufthansa Systems, we've also conducted quite a few webinars earlier this year about different topics across a range of different areas of an airline. We do have a next MRO session coming up on the 5th of November. Please look out for us. With this, I would like to thank our amazing presenters today, Alex and Julian. Thank you very much for the very interesting discussion.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Alex. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure always to talk to you, Julian. Not that often it's happening. And I would like to say a great thank you to James, our lovely moderator. It will be happen without you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Well, thanks everyone again, and hope to hear from you soon if you have any more questions. Otherwise, take care and be safe. And we'll see you next time in our next online conference. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.